It's the home style.
All right. Welcome back to the Hogsty, Washington's absolutely unofficial leading source for all things Redskins and the NFL. Make sure you're following us not just on Twitter at the Hogsty and not just on Facebook.com/Hail to the Hogs, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/thehogsty. So yeah, make sure you're following us there as well. And wow, I am so excited because the Hogsty is now back together again. We've got the full crew in the house, everybody, after a week-long hiatus.
We are whole.
We are whole. Everybody is home.
This is our welcome. This is the Hogsty welcome home special.
What's up, Kelly?
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Alex Zeese, once again.
Hey, hello.
Steve Thomas is holding it down as usual.
Howdy.
And Robbie Deadeye Duncan needs no introduction.
What's going on, everyone?
I'm the caboose of this knowledge train. My name's Sean Conti. And yeah, what's up, Hogsty? What's up, guys? So glad to be back with you this week. What's going on?
That's a good week.
Big.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, considering
nice
considering that
lots going on for the Redskins and the NFL in general. We've got a couple draft-related things to finish up with later, but Kelly, let's do the headlines because I think I've heard some mumbles and grumbles, something about Tom Brady not being good anymore and his legacy forever tarnished, and he's no longer eligible for the Hall of Fame, and the Patriots suck now.
He's got deflated
can you
balls.
Talk to me more about that?
Yeah, there are actually some rumors about that, that possibly exactly the way you said it is exactly how it's going down. So 4 months after the New England Patriots won Super Bowl X-Licks, criminal lawyer Ted Wells released a 243-page report that strongly suggests but does not outright declare that Brady is basically a lying sack of shit. So Brady spoke at a local university the next day, and he said that he needed some more time to digest the report. To Brady's credit, a report paid for by the NFL that finds that their golden boy is innocent is admittedly difficult to swallow. I would probably need a little time to digest that as well. Also, in other news, former stud offensive lineman Lyle Collins out of LSU was not selected in the NFL draft because of possible character issues. Those concerns have now been confirmed as Collins signed with the Cowboys. So character issues definitely in play for anybody who's there playing in the Big D.
Not good.
Sticking with the Cowboys, we have more Cowboys news. Randy Gregory, who was originally projected as a top 10 draft pick, but whose stock dropped all the way down to the 60th pick after he tested positive for marijuana at the NFL Combine, set the tone for a standout career with the Big D's by leaving Friday's rookie minicamp session with heat exhaustion. Gregory, who was born in Jacksonville, Florida, put everyone's mind at ease by explaining that he, quote, "think I haven't moved since I got here as far as this seat here. You know, I'm real tired now. Humidity kind of caught up with me. I'm a little bit out of shape, so me and a few of the guys kind of felt the same way about it. So, you know, hopefully next
caution
practice
everyone,
will be a little bit
genius
better."
at work.
So I guess that settles.
Was he drinking?
I guess that settles that. Yeah. So to help Gregory with his character problems, and I kid you not, the Cowboys have put his locker next to
Oh, well,
Des
isn't that
Bryant,
sweet?
so
Yeah,
that
that's
should square
really
him
fair.
away. Nothing
Let
could
me
go
tell you
wrong
about
there.
my
Nobody sees
best
any problems coming out of that. Finally, on a sad note, and this is something I don't like to joke about, so I'm not going to. Jacksonville rookie Dante Fowler Jr. Is going to miss the first season of his career because he tore his ACL in the rookie minicamp. This is just a sad thing for the kid and for Jaguars fans. We wish him a speedy recovery. Look forward to seeing the kind of impact that he can bring in 2016. And that is the majority of the headlines, with the exception of some D.C.-related headlines. Mayor Muriel Bowser has reached out to the Redskins about the possibility of returning to Washington, D.C., which would be exciting for everybody, I think, and was something we'd all want to see happen. But may or may not happen. Steve, could you help us understand a little bit about what's going on there?
Okay? You know, the mayor can say whatever the mayor wants to say, but moving a football team and building a stadium is a major endeavor, and it takes a lot more than just some offhanded comments from the mayor. You know, building a stadium in today's world is about a 10-year project, probably. And when you're talking about D.C., it brings up a whole nother set of issues because you have the federal government that oversees the District of Columbia, and so there's some issues there. There's a whole bunch of land use issues in D.C. That aren't necessarily present in other cities, because there's height requirements and there's some other things. So it's it's a nice sentiment, but everybody needs to just relax about a potential move to D.C. I will tell you a little bit about where we are with the lease, though, if that's all right with everyone. As a very brief bit of history, Jack Kent Cooke bought the land. It's about 71 acres there in Landover, across the street from the Cap Center, as everyone knows, in 1996. He built the stadium for about $250 million total. And of that, he financed about $180 million, and about $70 million came in state funds. So it's in today's world, you're looking at probably $1 billion project as opposed to a $250 million project. It's a lot bigger deal now. But here's the important thing, and here's what's unusual. Jack Kent Cooke owned the land and owned the stadium. That is very, very unusual in the NFL. The Dolphins used to own their own stadium, or the owner that owned the Dolphins used to own that stadium. There can't be more than one or two in the whole NFL. Most of these stadiums are owned by the local government through an entity, a corporate entity that they'll form and control. And that is obviously not the case here. So what we have here is that a company called JKC Stadium Inc. actually is the landlord, according to the current Prince George County record, property tax records. Now, sometimes the property tax records aren't accurate, because it frankly is a little bit surprising that an entity called JKC would be owned by Daniel Snyder, and he wouldn't put it in some other corporate name. But regardless, a private entity, who I think is JKC Stadium Inc., is owned by Daniel Snyder, okay? And the Redskins are a tenant on a lease. Now, the interesting thing is that Daniel Snyder owns Redskins, and so what we have here is a situation where Daniel Snyder is the landlord and the tenant both. What's up, Kelly?
So I've got a question. Is there any truth in your? I mean, you have a legal background, and that's important to me. So I want to know from your perspective, is there any truth to the rumor that the Redskins have played like crap for the last couple of decades? Because Jack Kent Cooke has cursed the Redskins because Daniel Snyder owns
I think Jack Kent Cooke is
Stadium
laughing from heaven above and throwing fireballs down on Landover, Maryland, in an attempt to permanently curse the Redskins.
I believe that's correct.
Oh, I love Jack Kent Cooke, but I don't think he's in heaven.
He might have gone the other way. But okay, that's entirely
got those fireballs from.
Yeah. Okay, but here's the deal: the lease between Daniel Snyder and Daniel Snyder is landlord, Daniel Snyder is tenant, runs 2026. And one would say, well, if you're your own landlord, why can't you just terminate the lease and go do whatever you want on the next stadium? Well, the answer is, of course, which is, as I said before, there's $180 million in financing on the construction project. So that means that the revenue from the stadium is paying off the debt service on the construction project. That is going to be a 30-year loan, most likely. And so there's, we're in year 20 of this thing, roughly, almost. So you're probably looking at at least more than a third of the principal left. So that's a lot of money to pay off. And the other thing is that if you go back to '96, Prince George's County gave a bunch of tax breaks to the Redskins in order to get the stadium there. Because if you recall, Jack Kent Cooke had a whole bunch of problems building a stadium, finding land for a stadium. Everybody thought it was wonderful. The people at Alexandria said, please build your stadium here. And then, of course, once he wanted to do that, stadium traffic became real. So he looked all over the place. He looked in the Dean District. He looked in Virginia. He looked in other places, Maryland. Prince George's County is the only one that anteed up, and the way that it happened again was that the team got tax breaks. PG County got some preferential treatment in the stadium. I think they had a stadium box and some other perks from the Redskins. So that is out there still. So the lease runs through 2026. It's theoretically possible that Daniel Snyder, the landlord, and Daniel Snyder, the tenant, could agree to terminate the lease early and build a stadium somewhere else. Problem being is there's still the construction loan to be paid down on FedEx Field, and that more than anything else will probably keep the team there roughly through the end of the lease at least. So that is it. In case anybody is curious, they're paying about $2.9 million a year now on property taxes. So I think whatever perks there were on property taxes has run out about now. So
well, hopefully we're all a
That's
little
pretty
bit lucky.
reasonable, all things considered, though. If you're talking $2 million, $3 million of property taxes on all that land.
Yeah, it does seem like that, but the assessed value of the whole tract in total is, let's see, 210. It's about $215 million or so is the assessed value, and so you back out the property taxes out of that, and that's, it's for commercial property, that's about right, particularly in Maryland.
I'd be really happy.
Oh,
if,
really?
If,
I would have
Dan
thought
Well, you
Snyder,
would think, but you got to remember
Dan Snyder,
that
the landlord,
the assessed value isn't necessarily the actual value of the property. Okay, it's like
Sure.
your tax bill on your house. The county has got your house valued at a certain amount, and it doesn't really have a correlation to what you could actually sell it for. That's the same thing as this. So, $215 million.
No, my tax bill, they just reassessed my house for $30,000 more, so I'm not going to get into that.
So anyway, so that's kind of the lease in a nutshell. 1996 through 2026. Daniel Snyder is his own landlord and his own tenant. There's debt service, which is probably what's keeping the lease from being terminated early. That, and we have the FedEx deal, which is a 30-year, $200 million deal for the naming rights of FedEx Field. That's a lot of money to give up also. So.
Yeah. I actually remember hearing, God, I don't know how long ago I read this article, that Snyder was claiming if he reneged on the FedEx deal, excuse me, there was a huge fine for him reneging more than the actual value of the deal at that time. So I don't know if it prorates based on the year.
Well, yeah, we're never going to know because we're never going to know
I've
what
heard
the
that
answer
in the
is to
past.
that because it's not a public document. It's an agreement between the Redskins and FedEx.
Sure.
Certainly, there's default provisions in the agreement that says if for whatever reason Daniel Snyder, in a fit of drunken rage, rips the FedEx sign off the, it gets a really big ladder because he's short. And rips the FedEx sign off of the stadium, yeah, there's going to be some kind of default provision where he's going to owe them money. That's not to say they couldn't reach an agreement and name the new stadium FedEx Field, so there's that out. But that is a complicating factor, certainly. So in spite of the fact that the Redskins own their own stadium, essentially, it's probably not likely, just because of the construction loan, that we're going to find a new stadium any sooner. Again, it's about a 10-year deal, really, to build a stadium. And the next one you have to think is going to have more public funds.
Right, and we're 12 years out.
Nobody in today's world builds stadiums, out the bulk of which comes out of private financing. Steve Allen up there in Seattle may be the only one who could afford to do it. $1 billion is a lot. So what you have to think is we're probably going to see, if it's in Virginia,
Steve Ballmer could do it.
The state and or the county are probably going to issue bonds to raise funds for it, and then the good people of Virginia will have to pay those bonds back in the form of increased taxes in order to build a new stadium. That's most likely. So that's it.
Okay.
Oh, someone just drove by in a hot
I did.
rod in
It
my
sounded
area.
like
I don't
a
know if you guys
F-16
I thought it was
flying
probably-
past your
I thought it
window,
was a
actually.
plane.
Probably Dan Snyder's lawyers
Ladies
are coming
and
to
gentlemen,
sue
this is
Steve
your
Thomas for
captain speaking.
defamation of character for calling him short.
Yeah, I know. As a result of all that lease stuff, Daniel Snyder may be sending his goon squad to my house to, yeah.
They're on the way, man.
Well, I'm the one who's close to the stadium, so it makes sense for him to come to me
You didn't
first.
make fun of his height,
He was en
though.
route, man.
I told my height,
That
Jim.
hot rod drove right by.
Yeah, that's true. And
Well,
talk
one
about
last
him
thing
in
on
his
the
drunken
stadium stuff, and
rages.
we'll move on. Also, I don't want to disappoint the fans here, but if you project out and you see a stadium built that's, say, more public funds than not, and then there's bonds to be paid back, don't be surprised if you see personal seat licenses come the way of the season ticket holders. I mentioned this last week. You know, the personal seat license is the ransom fine you have to pay to have the right to buy the seat, basically. You know, we don't have those. Almost every stadium has personal seat licenses now, and we're just very lucky now that we don't have that. But if there's a lot more debt out there to be paid back, don't be surprised if that's a way to raise more money. So get ready for that.
Yeah, he knows that his fan base has money. The people who are going to that stadium, they can afford a personal seat license for the most part. So he's not.
Well, he has so far. He could have instituted that a long time ago, and he never did. You know, so it's. I don't know if that's true or not. I just mean if there's a whole lot more debt out there, particularly a lot more state debt, I think you're almost going to have to see the PSLs. Let's hope not, though.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, well, wow. All the stadium stuff, always interesting. We'll see how it all plays out. Before I know Robbie and I wanted to do a quick little recap of what's going on around the NFC East as well in terms of the draft. We didn't get to that. But in the meantime, do we want to say anything else about those other headlines? I mean, we had we had Deflategate obviously going on. This was a huge thing. Anybody got anything?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have something on Deflategate. It seems to me that nobody really understands exactly what this report concluded. Okay. The report did not say Tom Brady probably deflated balls, okay? What it said was, by the preponderance of the evidence, the investigator concluded that the Patriots deflated the balls and that Tom Brady was minimally aware of it. This preponderance of the evidence thing is not the investigator's way of saying, well, they probably did it. What that is a legal standard. That's the legal civil litigation standard of proof in a trial, okay? And so it's saying Tom Brady probably did it. What the investigators actually saying is, we conclude by the preponderance of the evidence that the Patriots did this. And it's a world apart from what all the probably and maybe jokes that came out in the media this week.
Here's
Kelly?
the difference, though. The difference is when you're. I mean, I'm obviously not a lawyer. The closest I've come is having to dispute some traffic incidents. But the thing that I see that's very different is that this is a private investigation paid for by the NFL, and the NFL has a very strong stake in this report coming to a certain conclusion, which is that Tom Brady is not guilty. So, and that's the difference between a court of law and a privately paid for investigation. Except in situations where maybe the court is trying somebody who works for the government, then the court may have a more vested interest in the outcome of that particular case. But Tom Brady didn't give up his phone and text records. The other people in the organization did. Tom Brady said he didn't want to because he didn't want to set a precedent that players had to give that kind of information up. And he's not legally compelled to because it's not a legal investigation. It's a private investigation by a guy who was hired by the league. And the fact that he's come to a conclusion that says, well, the evidence says we don't have any enough information to say that he did anything particularly wrong, does not shock me in the least.
But that's not what the report said, Kelly. The report said the report found that by the preponderance of the evidence, these are the conclusions that we found. That's worlds apart from everybody thinking that there wasn't enough evidence to conclude anything. Really and truly, what they were saying was that if this was a civil lawsuit and this was in a court, and these parties were getting sued, what they're saying is that there's enough evidence to find Tom Brady civilly liable. That's really what this means. That's a world of difference from that. And this preponderance of the evidence thing is a standard that's found throughout the CBA, and it's not surprising because again, it's a civil litigation standard. And in terms of the report, this is a major law firm that did this report. Big, huge, very expensive. This report was probably $1 million report if I had to just straight off the top of my head. I read some of it. I have not read all 243 pages of it. It's very professionally done, very well done, very comprehensive. They use scientific experts who are very, very expensive to do testing on inflation of balls. I think the report, in my opinion, is impartial, and it does form conclusions. And the conclusions they form, I think the public is not giving the report enough credit. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think the thing that the public will understand from the report is the text messages that have been kind of made public about it. And if you read any of the text messages, it's pretty clear Tom Brady said something to start this whole chain of events. And, you know, that something was not just, hey, guys, hi. It was, you know, Tom Brady doesn't want the balls as inflated.
Right. It's pretty explicit, yeah.
You know.
And it's really the question
Yeah.
then is, what does the NFL do about it? You know, they have this report. It's conclusive in my opinion. So does he get suspended? Does he not get suspended? I tend to think he's going to get 4 to 6 games. To me, well, you know, I think it's not going to be a year. Just because
I think that they'll start out with something heavy and then, you know,
I don't think it's going to be a year, just because the Bountygate scandal, which I thought was bogus in terms of what the NFL concluded, but they concluded what they concluded, and the bulk of the players got a year basically. So I just can't imagine that an inflated football is going to get the same
Trying to hurt somebody.
punishment as what the NFL concluded was a bounty. You know?
I think in terms of Bountygate, that's a player safety issue. This is more, I mean, this is definitely an integrity of the game issue, but it's not quite the same. I think I told you guys before, I think my suggestion for the punishment here, $1 million fine, loss of a first-round draft pick, and yeah, I would agree with Kelly, suspend Brady a couple games. That seems to be in keeping with, if you're of the mind that it being the second infraction, the punishment should be just a little bit higher than the first, and I think it was $750K for Spygate and loss of a first-round pick. So if you're following along that train of logic, I think it makes sense to bump this one up a little bit. I know that seems harsh, but I don't know. That's my thought on the potential sentence here.
Sure. So I mean, the other side of this that people aren't talking about as much is Bill Belichick, right? So you know, Belichick was found to be implicit in the Spygate thing. We just had with Bountygate. We should put a gate at the end of it. I just want somebody to.
That happened at the White House, you know, a couple months ago.
Just be done with it that way. That'd be good.
That's a new segment.
Yeah, well, we did. We had Gate at the White House. So at any rate, with the bounty thing, they suspended the head coach for a year. Not that they found him guilty of anything. They suspended him because he wasn't aware of the fact that his players and his defensive coordinator were doing something that broke the rules. Now we've got Bill Belichick, who is a very good friend of well, not him, but the Bob Kraft and Roger Goodell are very close. Bill Belichick is at the very least guilty of not being aware of the fact that this was going on. If you're going to take out the Saints coach for a whole year for not being aware of what was happening, I get that it's a player safety thing, but this is a cheating thing. This is this is an integrity of the game thing. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm just going to say, does anyone really expect Roger Goodell to, be fair and balanced when it comes to the punishment,
Brady being
given
the
that it
quarterback?
is Robert Kraft? I think
No.
if there was a way to remove him from the process, I would want it. But as far as I know, there is no way for him to be removed from the
He is
punishment.
the process.
It's his call. Yeah.
The report concluded that the report exonerated Bill Belichick. Actually, the executive summary very clearly said, Bill Belichick didn't know any of this, and it made it clear that they did not believe Bill Belichick did anything wrong. I think that was different than the Sean Payton thing, because his coaches were aware of it. I think the NFL insinuated that Payton knew about it and didn't do anything about it. I think that was different. But as to the Roger Goodell is BFF with Robert Kraft and all that stuff, and it's the Patriots. I think Goodell's going to come down harder on him because of that. I think the entire sports world, including all of us here and everybody everywhere, is just waiting, sitting there on bended knee, waiting for Roger Goodell to take it easy on his butt buddy, Robert Kraft. So I think as a result of that, I think you're going to see, like as early as Monday or Tuesday, a harsher punishment than people might expect. Because I don't think the last thing the NFL needs is more bad publicity from something like that. That's my thought.
Raise your hand if you're surprised Steve just said butt buddy.
Yeah, Goodell.
That's everybody.
Four hands are raised. I'll raise mine too.
That's two owners who are now going to sue Steve. Two lawsuits coming Steve's way from NFL owners for sure. The person who's enjoying this the most is Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah, there you go. He's going to get his money for for hitting 661, I guess, isn't he?
He broke a record, gave a fanfare to the audience. Thank you, everybody. My career's coming to a close. Have a nice day.
Well, I can tell you guys what's not deflated.
Well,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
These nuts. Got him!
He's nuts.
He went there.
Well played. Who's got any thoughts on what's going on down here in Dallas?
Those idiots all deserve each
two
other.
stories
That's
out
what
of
I
Dallas:
think.
Randy Gregory, Lyle Collins.
Randy Gregory's a moron. Jerry Jones
What's going on
is a moron.
there?
Those two deserve each other. Good riddance as far as I can. Good riddance to all of you.
I had empathy for Collins, and then he signed with the Cowboys, and now I'm kind of hoping, he gets cut before he even earns any of that money he already just was
You
given.
can't hold it against him. He's just happy to be on a team, I think.
I'm not happy
it could
about
very
this.
Well have not happened for him.
Sean just proved he's not a Redskin
going to get
fan.
that much money. Isn't there a Steve? You know this better, and don't need a long explanation on it. But I believe that there's a cap on how much you can give somebody who's an undrafted free agent. I think that between Randy Gregory and Lyle Collins, they're not going to make too much money at all, at least for this first year or two.
Okay, yeah. I think Kelly very clearly did not listen to podcast episode number 2 quite yet.
I listened
because I
to some
addressed
of
this
that.
very issue in podcast episode 2, in which I said that yes, there is a cap on undrafted free agent contracts. There's a cap on bonuses. It's something like 89,000, I think, this year. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, he's not going to make a lot of money because the money goes towards a rookie compensation pool.
Yeah,
and
but
it's
he was
impossible.
offered
So
that
he's just
max
SOL
contract
for,
they could offer him as an
until his rookie
undrafted by
contract's up.
multiple teams, is what they've been saying on NFL Network and all those various real sites of news and information.
Well, let's sit
and
here.
So he picked Dallas.
Let's look
so
at what
he's
let's look at what Dallas has as an offensive line on paper. And yeah, he's a rookie.
Yeah.
But he was also arguably the best offensive lineman in this draft, which I even thought he was. So we have Tyron Smith as the left tackle, Doug Free as the right tackle. They drafted that other dude I don't remember his name. Hold on, I got it on the webpage here. They drafted Chaz Green.
While you're looking that up, did you just say
Yes.
that Lyle Collins was the best offensive lineman
Yeah,
in the draft? when
they
picked
both
up
were pretty
Brandon
even,
Surf?
but I had a slight edge on Lyle Collins back in our first episode. But yeah, we did.
Yeah,
And
you drafted
so
him in
Dallas
the mock
has
draft we did. You drafted
Tyron
Collins.
Smith at left
Right.
tackle. They drafted this dude Chaz Green from Florida, who's going to be a pretty good swing guy for them. Maybe even be the backup right tackle behind Free. And now you got Lale Collins, who's probably going to be inserted at either left or right guard. Plus their center, Travis Frederick. I mean, they're going to be a pretty dangerous offensive line, and they were already that dangerous, with what they did last season. It just adds more to it. I mean, I know he's a rookie. He hasn't played yet, but there's no way you can't not be a little worried about
You know what?
that.
I'm not worried about it. He's a rookie,
Right.
He'll be fine.
Well, we got Preston
yeah,
Smith,
it's going to
so
be
I'm
good
not worried.
offensive line, but I'm going to worry about what the Redskins do, not what the Dallas Cowboys do.
I agree, and it'll be interesting to see if Callahan can provide some tips to our new defensive coordinator about, hey, look out for Doug Free when
That's definitely-
look out for his right leg. Maybe it's a little gimpy or something like that.
Yeah, our defensive coordinator has escaped any mention so far on the Hogs Die. We're going to have to fix that, as well as look at our other new coaches. But yeah, Joe Barry is flying under the radar, and that makes me uncomfortable.
I think that Joe Barry is probably happy he's flying under the radar.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any information on? I don't know who replaced Callahan in Dallas. So they definitely have some, as Robbie pointed out, some really good players on that offensive line. They just added a few more, but they lost Bill Callahan, and that's gotta have some impact on what's going on down there.
Joe Schmo.
Do we know who he was replaced by, and if that guy is worth a damn at all?
I'm gonna Google it.
Robbie? Did you just
Joe
say
Schmo.
a name? I didn't hear you. Oh, yeah, that may be him.
Joe Schmo.
I heard he's good.
He's
That
good.
guy has talent.
Just a
Schmo.
quick Google search. The top headline to come up is Steve Lonely.
Steve
I think
Lonely?
he's
Yeah.
assistant.
Steve Lonely? Is that a real name?
I think he's assistant.
That
Poor
might
guy.
be.
He's a one-man gang.
Oh, sorry.
Steve Lonely has
on.
trouble.
Stupid iPad keeps on rotating.
Every,
when I don't
every
want
time
it to.
Every time Alex uses Google, he gets back results about lonely men.
Is it this? Yeah. Is it this
No,
Frank
sorry.
Pollock
He's
guy?
Yeah, it's Frank Pollock.
There we
Oh,
go.
yeah, he used to be a player.
There
up
was a
in,
guy named.
Indy.
There was a guy that
Wasn't
had
he
that
the
last
offensive
name. I don't know
lineman
if
at,
that's him or
for the
not,
Colts?
but you're thinking right. Yeah.
Might have been.
Oh, God.
I think so.
Yeah. I just hear he has trouble with light bulbs. That's all.
Oh,
And with
for
that,
God's
we'll
sake.
move on.
All right, well,
Theo-
that's actually a perfect segue. Unless, sorry, do we
Concluding
have a
thought
concluding
is
thought on
screw
this,
the
on this
Cowboys. That's my
issue?
concluding
We
thought.
want Dallas.
I don't think you're going to get a better thought than that.
That's the perfect
Yeah.
concluding thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, that's a perfect segue. Robbie and I wanted to give a little heads up on what else is going on around the NFC East. We talked a lot about the Redskins draft, but not a whole lot about the other teams here. So, starting with those Cowboys, they took Byron Jones first. They needed over-the-top help in the secondary, and they got a guy who can jump 12 feet. That's probably a pretty solid pickup. He is, of course, the 6'1", 200-pound cornerback out of Connecticut. They didn't pick till the 27th pick. That was, I think, both best player available down there as well as need pick. But Robbie, what do you think?
Yeah, he's very athletic and was one of those combine warriors, but he actually had really good film, so his play on the field matched what he did at the combine. So they were really lucky to get him. He's going to be good.
Yeah, and they were. I guess that's going to bolster that cornerback position because they already have Orlando Scandrick and Brandon Carr back there for the time being.
And if Morris Claiborne comes back healthy, then they got a pretty deep corner position.
What'd you think of Morris Claiborne's play last year? You know, I had hope for him coming out of college, but it looked like he struggled a little bit last year. What do you think?
He's got all the talent that he needs to be a good corner, but it hasn't translated to the NFL quite consistently yet. But once he gets healthy this year and gets some more solid coaching and just gets more experience, he'll be okay, I think. But he's definitely one of those more talented corners out there.
Well, yeah, he's got a lot of raw talent. But, you know, it seems like, you know, the streets are littered with cornerbacks with talent who, for whatever reason, it just doesn't translate in the NFL, you know, at the elite cornerback level.
Yeah, but why do we keep on picking them up all the time?
David Amerson.
Sounds like a good
Are
problem
you
to have
there
on our
paging
team.
David
Yeah,
Amerson?
Right.
Oh,
yeah. Is anybody
Are
in
you
there?
kidding? I was thinking EJ Biggers.
We could go on and on. You want to really go down the
Let's
list
stick
of
with the
bad
Cowboys
corners
for
we've
now.
had
Let's not
here?
even go down
You want
that
to start
wormhole.
that?
All right.
Not even.
Yeah,
worth it.
let's depress the audience.
Well, just
But
to
David
go
Amerson
with the
needs to-
Cowboys, obviously, number 2, they took Gregory, outside linebacker out of Nebraska.
Yeah, we've
Obviously,
kinda
I think
covered
we talked
that.
about that pick. So, yeah. Robbie mentioned as well they took a tackle. God, a lot of NFC East teams took tackles early, and actually 3, I believe, of the 4 took more than one in the draft. But Chaz Green came up next. I think they needed to address it. Maybe not so early, but they needed to. So he's 6'5", 314 out of Florida. Solid pick. I think they had a pretty good draft. Hate to say it, but
No.
Did they take a quarterback at all? Because are they
No.
starting to find a
No
replacement
quarterback,
for Romo?
no
'Cause
running
that
back
guy's
either.
getting up there in age.
It's not just age.
You know.
I mean, it's not just age.
Yeah.
in Romo, he's got tons of
Yeah,
injuries.
that was the surprise with that they didn't take
You
a
know,
running
Romo's
back.
got the back problem.
Yeah, that-
Romo's going to fall apart with one, you know, wrongly timed hit.
Yeah.
and then we'll see the Cowboys led by Brandon Whedon, which we would all love to see.
Well, and that's why.
It'll be kind of like when Aikman got careered by Arrington.
Well, yeah, and this is why, by the way, I'm not going to get all wrapped up over La'el Collins going down there because at the end of the day, Romo's got, let's be realistic, you know what, 2 years left, 3 years maybe? I mean, there's not going to be a
2 years.
Dallas dynasty based on this offensive line because they're not going to have a quarterback.
Well, a great offensive line makes a quarterback look better than he is.
Right.
That's true.
Just going to say.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
Paging Mark Rippon.
Well, yeah. Well,
But we're talking about
Right.
if you're talking about big window, I agree with you, Steve. They've got 3 years left, maybe.
yeah, and that's if they're lucky, because Romo's a guy who's had very serious back surgery, and I'm surprised the guy's playing
Right,
football.
right.
You know, I'm surprised he's even walking, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Well, we shall see there. Moving along, just down the road, I should say across the. I was about to say down the road. This is not geographically accurate. Dover and Philly, I should say. We find ourselves now pick 20.
North
they
by
chose
East.
Nelson Aguilar. I actually think that was the best pick of the NFC East. That was an awesome pick, and obviously the Eagles have lost a couple wide receivers out of Philly recently, not to name names. But yeah, they've been abandoning Philly like rats from a sinking ship. So anyways, Nelson Aguilar at pick 20,
he's
pretty solid
got some
pick.
height,
I
a little
liked
bit
it.
of
What
height
did
to
you think,
him,
Robbie?
6 feet, but he's also very fast. Ran like a 4.4, very athletic. He's going to be a very good. Yep, he's going to be another toy
Precise
to plug
guy.
into Chip Kelly's offense.
why does everybody think that Chip Kelly gave up on Deshaun Jackson? You know, he's an outstanding receiver, and I'm glad he's a Redskin and, you know, all that. But I think Chip I mean, he could have saved that draft pick and kept what is one of the best receivers in the NFL, I think. You know, I'll
Well, I think that
He's an idiot.
Chip's
That's the
got
problem.
something going on there that nobody understands. It really. Some people are saying he's just such a diva he can't stand having a player on his offense that's a bigger name than he
well,
is.
you know, look,
which I don't know if that
LaShawn
could be
McCoy
right,
insinuated that it was a racial issue this week.
yeah.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is that Deshaun Jackson didn't play hardly at all at Oregon.
Yeah, I think he just
and
has
as a
all of
result,
his
he's just
tool.
awful.
He's very. I think he has a lot of pride in his system, and it doesn't really matter who he puts in that system. And Deshaun was a cheaper option to
Yeah.
get rid of and save money. Same for McCoy. Same for Macklin. He didn't, bend over his back and cut off an arm and a leg just to keep them and have his offense. He's going to draft cheap guys and do the same stuff with them. And I think that's exactly what he thinks.
You know what, though? These system coaches, I
Yeah, well,
mean,
we'll see.
At the end of the day, I think a unique blend of personnel and coaching is what wins Super Bowls. It's not, some coach and his magic system. Systems don't win long term. In my view, it's the teams that win in the long term happen to strike gold, where they have a perfect balance of talent and a coach who knows how to get the most out of them. I don't think these plug-and-play coaches like Chip Kelly, at the end of the day, are going to amount to much in the NFL. That's just my
It's
thought.
too college. It's college.
Well, he's had 2 good seasons. We'll
Pete
see
Carroll?
now that he's changed quarterbacks
Yeah.
yet again what
Yeah.
happens.
Well, Pete Carroll. Who
Right.
said Pete Carroll?
Well, yeah, I think to that point, Aguilar joins. Let's see. I mean, think about who the Eagles are rolling with the wide receiver right now. They've got Matthews, they've got Miles Austin, but I think he's kind
Can't
of
forget
destined
Riley
to be
Cooper.
their, first wide receiver. That would be my prediction at
Yeah.
least. Beyond that,
What about the
they
racist?
took a
Cooper still there?
cornerback next in Eric Rowe, outside linebacker in Jordan Hicks, another cornerback in Ja'Cory Shepard. Actually, God, they took
They
3
needed it.
cornerbacks total because they also took Randall Evans and then Brian Mihalik, a defensive end.
Yeah,
So
Eric
it-
Rowe
their
had a lot
defense
of.
was terrible
He was
last
a
year,
big
so-
combine performer. Looking at his profile, he led his position group in pretty much every category. He was the fastest one, had the highest bench reps, vertical jump, broad jump, etc. He's 6'1", 205, ran a 4.4, 5.40, and he's very versatile. He can play corner or move back to free safety, so they got a pretty versatile, good athlete to plug in the secondary.
Awesome. Well, I think it was again a pretty solid draft for Philly. Moving on then, the Giants. I wanted to save this one for last because there's a couple things about the Giants draft that I thought were funny, but they also they took a guard as well first, pick number 9, Flowers. I think they definitely wanted Scherf. But they snagged up Flowers instead, obviously a need pick, and then they traded up with the Titans to get Collins. That's who I actually had slated for taking, so I was a little bummed about
Giants,
that.
I
Robbie,
don't
what'd you
think their
about the Giants
draft was that good, in my opinion. Eric Flowers, he's big, he's huge, but 6'6", 329. He's very powerful, but a lot of that power doesn't show on film, in my opinion. I mean, I was watching film on Randy Gregory way back when, and there's a play where Gregory, his all full 238 pounds of him was just bull rushing the crap out of Eric Flowers, put him on his butt pretty much with one hand. I don't think he's very good. He's not very athletic. He's just real slow and lumbering, and I think he's going to be. It looks like they'll keep him, move him to guard because he was a left tackle at Miami, so maybe he'll be better there. But I don't think. I think they were very disappointed in missing out on Scherf, and they had to go with the next best guy. So
is Flowers? Well, from what you described, Flowers sounds a lot like Morgan Moses. Really big guy, doesn't play to his strengths, bad technique. Is that a good comparison?
He's a lot more powerful than Morgan Moses is. He's basically, if Morgan Moses played stronger, then yeah, but this kid's a little bit more stronger than Morgan Moses.
So Eric Flowers, so you don't think much of, is a better version of the guy we have. Is that right?
Yeah, he is. He's better than Morgan, but
that does not bode well for Morgan Moses' future.
But maybe so, but I don't see Eric Flowers being that solid of a starter.
I had a terrific vision in my head of Randy Gregory going down the field, stiff-arming Flowers with one hand, rolling a super joint in the right hand, and blasting into the backfield, wreaking havoc. And then,
can you imagine the conversations that Des Bryant and Randy Gregory must have? I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall to listen to those two guys.
If only they had Pac-Man Jones.
Would you need a translator at this point? I mean, I'm sure they would.
I'm sure their grammar is perfect up to collegiate English class standards, both of them.
Yeah. Well, anyways, again, I just wanted I had so many thoughts about this. I guess I just want to ask again if anybody else did. Landon Collins. I really wanted him to be a Redskin. He said he wanted to be. We needed him. I think Steve agrees, but somebody talked to me about Collins. Obviously, he was stolen from us again. This was from a pick they traded up for Collins, which a lot of people people saw as a reach. But he was the top.
I'll say they.
Draft, so,
you go ahead, Alex.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, they got him in the second round, so it's not a reach for a first round projected guy, is it?
No, it wasn't a reach pick at all. I think he was worth trading up for. The Giants need help in the secondary, so it was a good pick for them. I think that he would have been a good pick for us. As a fan and a homer and a lifelong Redskins fan, I love any guy that says he warms up by watching Sean Taylor, and that gets to me really, really easily. I know a lot of people who follow football are very objective. I'm not very objective. I love the Redskins. I love Sean Taylor. I miss him, and I would really have loved to have had a guy on the team who had that much love for Sean. And let's be honest, we need safeties. We have two safeties now on one-year deals. To have gotten a young safety who can apparently hit like a truck would have been a really nice thing for us if he could cover. I mean, we don't know if he's going to work out or not, but. Yeah, I wanted Landon Collins. It didn't make sense at number 5. No. He wasn't there.
Yeah, Homer is aside.
It didn't work out. That's the way it goes.
Looking at it now that he's a Giant, I mean, they better keep him up close in the pocket, in the box the whole time and stopping the run because he's not going to be catching Deshaun or Pierre down up and running those deep routes for home run passes.
Yeah, clearly,
because he's not a cover guy. He's not going to be covering anybody.
Sounds like Willie should put Pierre in the slot on a streak route a lot against the Giants.
I think it would have been. I'm with Kelly. I thought Landon Collins would have been a perfect second round pick for us. We could very much use a strong safety. We've got a whole truckload of strong safeties, but none of them are proven. They're all on one-year deals, as we've talked about in previous episodes. I was really hoping Landon Collins would fall to us. As the strong safety.
Well, I actually. Yeah. Think we have the two guys we have at safety, Nacho and then is it Johnson who we got from Seattle?
Jaron Johnson.
Jaron Johnson.
Yeah, Nacho Johnson. I think one of the two of them is going to work out for us. So I feel okay there, and they're both young, and
obviously we hope you're right.
We resign them. Great.
I would have felt better drafting somebody.
Right.
I think Jaron Johnson. He's not played a whole lot up until now. Robbie, correct me if I'm wrong here, but he's kind of been a backup type, so it's his time to shine, basically, right?
Yeah, he's been behind Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor his whole career pretty much, and he's learned from the best. I would think it's I would say he's ready for prime time.
The fact that he plays both free and strong safety, or at least he did over there, that's kind of what I want in a strong safety. I'm kind of sick of the whole LaRon Landry mode that we were in for a while, where this guy's really just a linebacker who we put 20 yards back and hope for the best. I want somebody who actually knows how to swat a ball away.
Be in the right position to swat a ball away. More importantly,
What's your take on this, Sean?
Yeah, that's fair. Anyways, I was just looking, and maybe it wasn't a reach for them. The Giants have nobody playing in safety on their roster right now. We have 8 guys.
Yeah, they have lost 2 guys in free agency.
That's right, exactly. Well, otherwise, for them, their next pick, oh boy, this one's tough. Oamagbe Odigizua, I believe is how you say it. Defensive end out of UCLA. Big boy, 6'3", 267. They also took another safety down the draft, a couple picks, another wide receiver, and a guard. So actually they took 2 guards. They took one first and then last. So that was the Giants. I don't know, average. Okay draft, but that's what's going on. Anybody got concluding thoughts there?
Every single person taken by the other NFC East team sucks. They should have terrible careers. I don't want any of them to have any success. I don't give a damn who they rooted for when they were kids. To hell with all.
Amen.
That's my thought.
It looks like every team in the NFC East, with the possible exception of Philadelphia, is trying to build from within, build the lines from within through the draft. The Giants who we're talking about, what is that, 3 offensive linemen in this draft for them? 2? Obviously Dallas has done it. We're doing it. Who knows what Chip Kelly's doing? But that's 3 teams that I think are kind of getting it right. I think that bodes well for the future of the division as a whole, hopefully, that we're going to have competitive games that kind of harken back to maybe the 80s style of football with big, tough, physical football that Kelly and I remember. Because we're old.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to say the one thing that kind of shocks me is all 4 teams are in a position where you could have said it would make sense for any of us to draft a quarterback, at least somewhere in that 3rd, 4th round area. The Redskins, we all know we're kind of uncertain at the quarterback position. New York and Dallas, their quarterbacks are about to go become members of AARP at this point. And Philly is just a mess when it comes to the quarterback, and not a single team seems to draft a prospective quarterback for the future.
Everybody had Philly making all kinds of moves to get hold of Mariota, to get hold of somebody, to get to do something. They ended up picking up Sam Bradford, and my father so you guys know, I was raised like many people by my parents, not like everybody, but like many people, and my father was a diehard Washington Redskins fan. He had a bumper sticker on the back of his clipboard that said, "I love the Washington Redskins, and I'm for Sonny," because this was during the Sonny Jurgensen Billy Kilmer quarterback controversy. He raised me up. We went through many Super Bowls together. He now lives in Philadelphia and broke my heart by becoming an Eagles fan. He's now an Eagles fan. And as a result, the Eagles now have no idea what the hell is going on. They've lost their best receiver. They lost their best running back. They lost their best quarterback. And the offensive line is getting old. Chip Kelly is apparently, if you played at Oregon ever, he's going to bring you into the team. They wanted to make a play for Mariota. I fully believe that they wanted Mariota, and that they weren't able to get there. They were. There's rumors of all kinds of trades going to the Titans at number 2.
Hey, you know what? If Kelly losing the love of Kelly's father is what it takes to make the Eagles bad, I'm all for it.
Those guys from the quarterback perspective.
Ouch.
I've got priorities, bro.
Steve Thomas. All right. Well, awesome. I guess. It's now time for our very exciting end to the show here. In full recognition that we've been barraging you with incredible information about the Redskins and the NFL these last few days, we wanted to lighten up a little bit, and we have a great game queued up here for you. Alex, can you take us through this? This is awesome.
Okay, so the idea basically is we're calling it Hogs Against Humanity. That way we avoid any obvious lawsuits and things of that nature.
We're good, don't worry. People have to care about us to
the rules of the game. Every one of us has kind of come up with a couple, I guess you could call them phrases. And the game is everyone fills in the blank. And whoever came up with the phrase, you read your phrase We all take our turns responding. The person who comes up with it assigns a point to the whoever they liked their response the most. I'll just put it that way.
That was you missed your calling as an instruction writer for games. I think.
Press
that
start.
I'm a
was
little
your
lost.
going
I'll
with your
just
life.
do it.
What's great is I write SOPs for a living, and I do such a good job at that.
I now have no idea how we're playing this game, but I'm
Okay.
really looking
All
forward
right.
to it.
I think it'll be better off the cuff anyway.
Hey, Sean, do it. Sean, do we have a guest joining us for this?
Yeah, maybe he can introduce himself.
Good. Hello, everybody. It's Jay Gruden here to play some Hogs Against Humanity, I believe.
Oh, Jay, thank you
Thanks
so
for
much
joining us today, Jay. It's been great to have you.
How you doing, Jay?
Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. What are you eating today, Coach? Just
Gotta say, I
ask
had
me
a
that
little
real
bit
quick.
of beef jerky. Met up with Robert over the couple doors down from my house. Had a little cookout. Gonna be good. He was a little banged up though, but I think he's gonna be okay.
Good. All right. How's his
let's do this.
pregnancy coming along there? I imagine that's keeping him occupied.
Little Robert hanging out in the belly. He's gonna be okay, I think. Probably gonna be a big kid. He'll be a future NFL player too.
I had no idea that RG3 was pregnant.
There's something about him we don't know, apparently.
Explain so much about
You
his
learn
play.
something new with this podcast every day.
Because
We're
truly
gonna
what
bring
just
you the
happened was that
information
Jay
nobody else
Gruden
can
announced that
follow.
Robert Griffin is pregnant, and you're not going to find that anywhere else but here.
You heard it.
I
you
believe
heard it
that's
here
what happened.
First, folks.
Somebody
Well,
tweet that
I guess,
immediately.
Coach, we should really. I know you're busy, so why don't we start with your question first?
Sure. Let's give it a shot. I got a. You gave me a black card to read out to you, so I guess I choose the best answer. Is that what we do?
You got to read out the card first, Coach.
Oh, right. Never good at making these kind of calls. Okay.
You're just-
my card says.
I said
that?
you're just as indecisive in our game as you were in the field, Coach.
You know, I do need to
here
run
we
the
go.
ball a little bit more.
Here we go.
We'll do that first week, in September. I'll do a couple runs up the middle with Alfred, and then I'll just throw it the rest of the game. But anyway, let's get to
You're
the
playing
card
the
here.
AFL still, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
Don't give our game plan away,
okay.
Coach. That's top secret stuff.
Here's the card. Hey.
No, it's
sorry.
not.
All right, go ahead, Coach.
Okay. Jay Gruden loves him some Robert Griffin. How much, you ask? Let me try that again. Jay Gruden loves him some Robert Griffin. How much, you ask? So I guess you guys choose something.
Well, I'll go first. I hear you loved him so much that you showed up today at his house pantsless.
Well, I think
Wow.
That's a good start.
I think Jay Gruden showed up pantsless and spent
Good
some
start.
quality time with
a lot of
Robert
love.
Griffin's wife. That's what I think.
Whoa. We don't talk
That
about
isn't a little
Mrs. Griffin.
RG3 in the oven.
You have a response to that, Jay?
Guys, we now have we now have no chance of ever becoming the official leading source for all things Redskins and NFL. That ship just sailed.
Guys, this is how rumors
No,
start.
we've blown that out the water. I have an answer on my card. My card says, my card coach says that you love Robert Griffin so much. Well, I cheated a little bit. I asked RG3 on Twitter how much he loved him, but for the first time ever, he didn't reply back to me.
That sounds familiar. Still going with Alex so far on this one.
All right.
Yeah, I think Alex hit the nail on the head.
So I guess I
got
do
it.
another one.
Hey, Coach, Coach, I have one real quick before you choose.
Okay.
So here's mine. It's Jay Gruden loves him some Robert Griffin. How much, you ask? As much as Kirk Cousins loves throwing to the other team.
Oh,
Now that
as much as
He
the other
does
team
a lot of
loves
love.
the other team.
Is that all right, Coach?
He's a big fan.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good. But winner goes to Alex. Alex, you win.
All right, I'll give myself one imaginary point.
There you go. You
Alex
got one
has
hog.
Yes. All right. So One hog.
Yeah.
One rib.
Yeah,
It
there
can
you
be
go.
taken so many ways.
All right. One
Oh,
rib.
speaking of ribs, I think we have a card
All
for
right.
that.
I guess I'll
Nice.
read my question then. All right. So Larry Michael, who everyone knows who Larry Michael is, the announcer for the Redskins on the radio, but he's a bad man. And how do I know this? Because I caught him in the dressing room with blank.
The love child of Vinny Serrato and Dan Snyder.
Alone with the love child of Vinny Serrato and Dan Snyder. All right, Sean?
How about I caught him in the dressing room with a needle and all the Redskins game balls?
It didn't help us very much.
No, it did not. Kelly?
I know that Larry Michael is a bad man because I caught him in the dressing room with a Michael Jackson poster above his bed.
That's pretty bad.
Because he's bad.
That's
That's
that
frightening.
is. All right, Rob?
All right, I got a good one. Caught Larry Michael in the dressing room with a dress on, singing "Hail to the Redskins," Buffalo Bill style.
I think
Buffalo Bill
Rob gets
style.
that one.
That's fair.
Kelly, why don't you go?
NFL commissioner is my black card, by the way. Reads this. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has announced that Tom Brady will be punished for Deflategate by spending 1 week in blank with John Mara. I'm going to go with Steve. What's your
My
answer?
answer was that Tom Brady and John Mayer are going to spend a week on the show Wife Swapping.
Wife swapping.
The TV show Wife Swapping.
Mara
There's a
wins that
network
deal.
TV show. We're keeping it PG here.
It's a good time. Good times. Alex, what's your answer?
I have that Brady and Mara will spend 1 week stuck in Jerry Jones's glory hole.
Oh God.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
two men, one hole. That's going to be a painful experience, I
Dear
believe.
Lord, Alex.
It's not as painful.
I think
as
we're gonna
watching
get
two
beeped by the
girls, one
censor
cup,
for that
but
one.
Two men, one hole. It's
The
if
internet, there are
had
no
one, we'd
censors.
probably
We're gonna lose all our sponsors.
get- we're in the fucking clear.
We don't have any
All right,
sponsors.
Sean, what's your answer? What do you got?
My answer is F. John Mara. A pass.
F. John Mara.
He's
F.
not
John
worthy
Mara,
of an
almost
answer.
always the correct answer. So you're doing pretty well there. Robbie, what do we got?
I said he'd spend a week in Gary Finkel's, or what's his name? Finkel's. I couldn't remember.
All right, that's not the
I
right
didn't
answer.
write it down.
Gary,
I think
to
you're
do with
about to
Gary
get
Finkel
gone.
my answer-
from Ace Ventura.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a timely reference.
Okay, moving on.
all right, good work. Way to pull that one out. You
I didn't
nailed
develop it in time.
It's like a Bobby Beathard era reference. So, correct answer, of course, is that he'll be punished by spending 1 week in Kate Mara with John Mara. But unfortunately, that's not. It's
How's
not a
that?
punishment.
Yeah, that's not a
That is
punishment
a
at all.
punishment that Goodell would hand out because Goodell's handing it out to Brady. That's why he's not.
I
Gonna
liked
punish
my
Brady.
wife
We all know
swapping
that.
answer.
Point goes to.
I think the only way
Point-
he's
point
really
goes to
punished
Alex.
Brady is by switching from his left hand to his right.
Ouch. All right, Alex wins. Alex now has 2 points. Robbie has 1 point. Alex, take it away.
do
Who
mine.
goes next?
Well, let's see.
Want me to do mine?
Steve, you got one?
I have one. If you give,
All right.
if you give Vinny Serrato truth serum, he would say the 2008 draft was blank. Alex, what do you think?
Eye popping.
I think everything was eye popping with Vinny, though, not just the draft. Kelly,
A Deshaun Jackson sandwich on toasted shit. By
That's
which
a
I
good
mean
one.
Deshaun Jackson was taken with the 49th pick. Fred Davis was taken with the 48th, and Malcolm Kelly with the 51st. So
Those
you
two picks
surround
worked
that
out
guy
for
with,
us.
Yeah.
That's a Deshaun Jackson on toasted shit.
Sean, what do you
Oh,
got?
I guess I think he'd channel his inner Jay Gruden and say it was grading out really well on paper.
Winning in the offseason.
All right, mine was I had him saying it was just for fun.
Oh, he thought it was a mock draft? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
He was playing fantasy football.
Well, I think, Kelly, you win that one just for toasted shit.
Yeah, I was going to say. I didn't want to go after that one.
Anytime you can throw the word shit out there, you're going to do well in Hogs Against Humanity.
Who's got another one?
Do the Arakpo
Okay.
one.
Oh yeah, I had another one, guys. So today, Brian Arakpo learned more than one move. That move was blank.
Yeah.
Yes, you, Kelly.
The hustle.
The hustle.
Kelly.
The hustle. He only knew the hustle. Now he knows more than one move.
Sean.
Yeah, okay, so today Brian Arakpo learned more than one move. The move was the flying pectoral hyperextension chop strip.
I've heard of that one.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's very descriptive.
Steve, go ahead.
I was going to say that he's learned to move out of town.
Well, that he has.
That's his second move he learned.
And Alex, what was yours?
I say the move Brian Arakpo just learned how to do was how to perform his own shoulder surgeries.
Highly necessary.
I'm gonna say
Not bad.
I like the hustle. Sean, that goes to you.
Oh no, that was Kelly.
No, that was
No,
that was
I'm the hustle.
I'll take the hog.
Kelly is
I
taking
thought Sean
full
said
credit
hustle.
for the hustle.
No, but I'll take the hog point because I'm
My
bad
bad.
at zeros.
Go
here.
ahead.
I like. Sean, are you able to actually? Sean, what was your answer again? I just like
The
hearing you say
Arakpo
it. Say
one,
your
it was
answer
the
again one
flying
more time.
pectoral hyperextension chop strip, of course. He's been working on it for years.
That's what it was.
That's the one. That's the move.
Nice. Do we have any more?
My last black card thing says, for lunch, Josh Lurebus ate blank. All right,
Kelly's
go ahead,
excited.
Kelly says that for lunch, Josh Lurebus ate Bubba Franks with Gerard Mayo.
Steve?
Nice.
my answer was he ate everything.
Alex?
I have that he thought the goalposts were candy canes and he ate the goalposts.
That's a good one.
That might be a Randy Gregory answer as well.
Sean?
All right, I'll go back to Deflategate. I'll say for lunch, Josh Lurebus ate 1 PSI out of every Patriots game ball.
Gotta give that to Kelly. I like that.
All right.
That was fun.
Sean and I are getting shut out of this game.
We'll be back
Thank
next
you.
week,
Yeah.
Steve. This is bullshit.
All right, so I guess I have the final question.
What's that? Sean and I are going to lead a revolt.
All right, so
There's your problem.
this is a two-parter. When asked about blank in an interview, RG3 said that he was shocked to learn that Jay Gruden had blank in this year's game plan.
This Jay.
What was that? I don't know. Keep going with this. I want to hear what goes on. I want to hear what's said.
So, okay, I'll ask again. When asked about blank in an interview, RG3 said he was shocked to learn that Jay Gruden had blank in this year's game plan.
Choose wisely.
All right, Sean, I see your hand up there.
Wasn't that the answer in and of itself? Jay Gruden has blank in next year's game plan?
Ha ha ha.
Sorry, Jay.
Very funny.
Sorry, Jay.
Oh, if Steve's
There
handing
you
out
go.
points, you got a point for that.
So
All right.
I got mine. I said Jay Gruden had forgotten about the game plan and went with Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like last year. That sounds very familiar.
Yeah. All right, Kelly.
When asked about the read option in an interview, RG3 was shocked to learn that Jay Gruden had catcher in the rye in the game plan.
Catching the rye. Jay Gruden has no catching in his game plans.
That's why I have Andre Roberts play.
Only throwing.
Steve,
My
gonna
mind
throw
is
every
as
play.
blank
We're gonna
as
catch it
Jay
every 4
Gruden's
plays.
football knowledge, so I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I should have passed earlier too.
You pass
Yeah,
enough.
please don't pass anymore, Coach.
well, I'm actually going to say I award that point to Sean,
Yes!
who, though he didn't answer both questions, he probably had the best line.
Whatever, just give me the point.
So
Haha, Steve, you
if
suck.
I'm doing the tabulation correctly, that means that means Kelly's the winner for the first time we ever tried this.
Booyah.
Goose egg for Steve.
Good game, guys.
Nobody said legal guys are funny.
I think you're hilarious. Just putting that out there, Steve.
Can I have a pity point at least?
Good game, everybody. All right, beep beep. What's next?
Yeah. I think that
All right.
I think that exhausted the list, right, Alex?
No, we're done. That was the last question.
All right. Good job, Kelly.
Yes.
We'll get you next
Yes,
time.
it did.
We are out of burgundy-colored cards.
Hey,
right.
before we sign
Hail,
off,
motherfuckers.
I have to throw
Hail.
something out there. David Letterman is retiring, I think, next week. I think his last show is coming up maybe this week. There was a goodbye special on CBS for him. Love David Letterman.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
miss him.
Yeah.
I used to watch him all the way back in high school. And I have a feeling that he's going to be the type of guy that he's going to sign off of his last show, and we're never going to see him again. I, for one, am going to very much miss the late show with David Letterman. So goodbye, and thank you very much to Letterman.
I agree. Steve and I are of a similar age. I remember watching Letterman when he was doing some stand-up stuff and some guest hosting on Johnny Carson back in the 80s. Before he got his own stuff, and he's been a sort of one of those steady companions that you have throughout your life. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of watch him, and you're going to miss him the same way we missed Carson when he went. I am excited, being one of the rare football-loving liberals. I'm excited that Stephen Colbert is going to be taking that
Nation.
spot on
Right.
my birthday, September 8th. So I'm really interested in seeing Colbert out of
Yeah,
character.
not being
great.
liberal.
He's
I'm
gonna be awesome.
probably not ever going to watch the show again, but that's just me.
We're gonna strap you down. And make you
Yeah, but if you picked all your
We'll see what he
TV
does.
hosts based on their politics, Steve, you wouldn't just have to.
That's
stop
why I'm a
watching
football
TV for
fan.
the
That's
most
That's
part.
what I watch.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Now you
about
get to listen
Letterman
to Costas.
too. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he had
Yeah.
Tina Fey
And his crazy eyes.
on the show the other day, and she actually did a hilarious thing. She stripped down to her Spanx and leotard and had "Bye Dave" written on it. It was actually really, really funny. I think it was his last female host or something like that, and that's why she did it. But it was pretty funny. It was touching. It was funny.
Awesome.
Check it out. Good stuff. But anyways, that is the Hog Stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming with us along this journey of episode 3.
Wow.
We will catch you on the interwebs in the meantime. Once again, Twitter at The Hogstye, Facebook at facebook.com/HailToTheHogs. And don't forget to listen to us right here on this podcast on YouTube at youtube.com/TheHogstye. Thank you guys so much.
I'll troll you guys later on the internet on WashingtonPost.com.
Take care.
That's right.
Who likes bacon?